We live in a results-oriented world. We need for things to happen immediately. We don't do anything that is going to take time. Why? Because time is a very precious resource to us. And so that's really odd because you would think that if time was such a precious resource for us, that we would be very happy when things are taking time. But instead, we see time as being something that is scarce. And so then it forces us into this desire for quick results. Everything needs to be quick, everything needs to happen in short periods of time. We don't even read novels anymore. We don't even communicate in paragraphs. We communicate in letters put together. And, a literary classic has to take place in 3 words. And it's just not like that. And time is very precious. Time is a very precious resource. And so we need to pay a little more respect to it from time to time. And speaking of time and how many times I've said time within the last little bit of time, some things at the present moment in your life are taking time for a very special reason. And that may feel a bit frustrating to you. And if you're feeling frustration in a particular area of your life, and you could use a little bit of insight in terms of how to foster the healing process without really rushing it too much, I'm always happy to help. And I actually am offering a very special consultation in relation to Saturn's stationing period. And don't worry, it doesn't matter if you schedule it for like a week or two ahead, it'll still cover the Saturn retrograde period for you. If you're interested in that consultation, you can find a link to that above. And I will also be putting a link to my normal astrological services page where you can find the rest of my services down below in the text area of the video. So some things do take time, and that's really good because, after all, as the saying goes, as cheesy as it may sound, time heals all wounds. Sometimes if you want something to change, if you want to have progress, you sometimes have to backtrack and you have to check in on the changes that have already taken place. Sometimes the opposition forces you to see where you've grown, to see where things have really changed. And if you're in a position where you've recently been in 2 minds about something, and you're beginning to gain a greater sense of clarity in regards to what it is that you actually do want prior to shifting forward, even though it might feel very frustrating to you that you can't have that progress now, try to be a little bit more patient with the process. Try to recognize that some deep inner work needs to take place before the change can really happen. We don't like what's the saying goes, we don't like those universal lessons, right? We don't, we kind of sit there and go, oh no, not another lesson from the universe. It's like we just want things to be smooth and we want things to be easy. But there's no growth when everything is always in a state of ease, right? It may seem odd to you, but if everything was always easy, you would just grow completely complacent. And so sometimes you need that resistance so you can take a good square look at something that's right in front of you so that you can understand what's blocking your way. And so you can perhaps even get a sense that the thing that's been obstructing your progress has been yourself. Now, when I say that, there's quite often the natural tendency to kind of go, well, I need to kind of give myself a swift kick for having done that, or how could I be so stupid? And really, you don't need to go into that because, to be fair, everything is a process. Everything, takes place in a manner that it needs to. And you may think, oh, well, that was really stupid of me, or I made a mistake, but you may have needed to be in that particular moment at that particular period of time for things to happen. We can't rush things. A good example is forgiveness. We quite often tend to convince ourselves that we've forgiven someone for something or forgiven ourselves for something. And really, what's happening is we forgive up in our head, but the entire process of forgiveness has not really taken place. Because in order for forgiveness to really take place, it also has to move on from our heart. And life is like that in a lot of different areas. We may have a clear perspective of where we're wanting to go. We can have an idea of what needs to happen. We can go, okay, great, I've got that lesson. Now I'm ready for that block to just drop away. But guess what? That block doesn't always just drop away or disappear at your whim or at your desire. It disappears when the universe feels that you're actually done with that process and when things have actually, in reality, moved on from your heart or where you're stuck or where you're kind of caught up in the subjective, for lack of a better way to put it, or when your energy body is holding on to something. Now, you may be hearing everything that I'm saying in relation to this and going, okay, so if I'm not having the progress that I want now, and if the real change is going to take some time, then I just need to put everything on hold. No, no, you need to proceed with much the same level of drive that you've been proceeding with all along. A transformation is taking place slowly. It may be frustrating because you're pushing and pushing and pushing, but yet that new growth, that new development isn't taking place. This particular Saturn stationing period, and we're looking at the chart exactly of the moment that Saturn stations, because you can get a lot of meaning of what that entire Saturn retrograde period is going to bring a lesson in regards to. And Saturn, at the time of its stationing, is forming an aspect with both Mars in Bharani Nakshatra and Jupiter in Rohini. So you're needing to continue to create the space that you're growing into. You need to continue to be productive in that particular direction. And you need to continue to have the drive to create the transformation that's taking place, even if you hit a block. Even if it's frustrating, even if it gets you all fired up, the fire of what compels you inside will be the healing fire of your own transformation. And if you could use a little bit of help with that particular process, again, I do offer a Saturn retrograde consultation that's just being offered for a really short period of time, maybe a week or two. You can go and schedule that at the link that you'll see above. And if you're interested in any of my normal consultations, there's a link down in the video description area. You can just find it also through the services page of my website if you're interested. That's going to do it for this look at Saturn stationing on the 29th of June, 2024. And Saturn's retrograde cycle will be in place all the way through until the 15th of November of this year. Take care, everybody, and talk to you next time. Bye now.